Let's see if it actually works.
I think
we're live. Yes, we're live. Okay.
Woo!
Hello, everyone. For those who don't know, I am Sky. Welcome to my channel. Today we're doing a live stream. We're doing a Scrivener discussion, and I have with me, that.
Hello, my name is Amy Nobody. I am a ghost in the YouTube feed, as I like to joke and call it. I am a freelance writer, currently taking classes to get my SEO certification. I have no fiction work out to share or any social media links because I don't use it. And I'm here today because I have been working not with Sky on the same project, but Sky has been including me in her NaNoWriMo activities. I was in her cabin for NaNoWriMo July, and last year she invited me to start Camp NaNoWriMo in November, and that's when I started my outline for the fiction project that I'm currently working on. It's a book, which I'm tentatively calling 777 because it talks a lot about luck. And that's pretty much all I've got right now. At this point, I am finished with my outline. To reward myself, I bought Scrivener with my NaNoWriMo discount code. And that is why I'm here today, because Sky is going to talk about a comprehensive review of Scrivener from me, who's new to it, and her, who's had it for several years. So, yeah, that's who I am and why I'm here.
And for those who don't know, I am not an expert in Scrivener because I've had it for several years, but I've only just recently really started to seriously use it, and I still only used the baby basics of it. So it's such a huge program, and I haven't even fully sat down and played with it because I just use it for what I do. So there's also that. For anyone that's new to Scrivener, Scrivener is a writing program that was made for writers. It allows you to, it has many functions, but it also allows you to separate basically everything, so you're not seeing all of your manuscript at once. You can separate it by sections, and you can even break those sections into smaller sections so that you're only looking at a specific section at one time as you're using it. It can be used for novels, screenplays, short stories. There are templates.
Comic book function on there.
Say again?
I even saw a comic book function on there.
Oh, that's new. Mine doesn't have that, but I think I need to update mine to the newest version. So that's possibly why I don't see that yet, because I haven't seen that. But that is really cool. I like that option because that would be cool to have, is be able to do your comic books in Scrivener as well. So, but yeah, there's a whole lot of things you can do with Scrivener, and that's basically what we're going to be talking today, is about what we do. I'm going to be talking about what I do with Scrivener, and Amy's going to be talking about what she's discovered and what she's finding works with her on Scrivener. So, sorry, my leg itched. I'm real up close with the camera there for a second.
At least you're on the camera. I'm still hiding behind a Band-Aid and the no video function.
It's all good. One of these days we'll get you to update your profile picture so it at least shows an image of something instead of the vague outline of a human being.
I remember that. Like I said, I don't do social media at all. So if I don't set a default picture when I set up the account, it usually never gets a default picture. But since I'm going to be here, I'll try to get better about it.
It's all good.
So how do you feel about Scrivener as a writer? On a scale of 1 to 10, how do you see it? What would you give it?
I'm actually working towards moving all of my documents to Scrivener, so I'm rating it pretty high. Like I said, I'm probably missing an update, so I'm not going to rate it a 10 yet, because again, for two reasons. One, I haven't explored all of Scrivener because there is so much to explore. I haven't really messed with any of the templates. I go with a blank template and work from there and build it on my own. So I haven't played with any of the actual templates myself. And the second reason is because of the fact that I haven't updated to the newest version yet. There are some new functions that I've seen other people say they can do that I can't do, that I would like to try out myself before I rate it any higher than like an 8 or a 9. Right now, I have it rated on a scale of 1 to 10, somewhere between an 8 and a 9.
8.2.
But that's really high, and I really like it. So,
okay. I personally, on a scale of, and Sky, I tried to talk about this just for, for YouTube so that you know. I got it a couple weeks ago and I downloaded it and I was immediately like, oh, Sky, I finally bought it. I got it. Sent her shots and all this stuff. And she's like, yay, congratulations. How do you like it? And I'm like, I don't know. I haven't even finished the tutorial yet. So a few days ago, just like, what do you think? Like 4 or 5 days ago, maybe, I started my official rough draft. I did my outline. I put it all in Scrivener, did all this stuff, and officially wrote like my first probably 1 page worth of content. Scared the bejesus out of me because I've never done anything like this before. I know I say this all the time, but like 90% of my writing history and technical skill is expository writing, which is the opposite of fiction writing. So I'm still learning, and it was really scary. So as soon as I put on my big girl panties and did it, as soon as I got done, I ran to Sky and I was like, I did it. I started. And I was like, ... on Scrivener. And Sky was like, no, don't tell me. I don't want to know what to think of it until we go to the live stream. Yep. So this is the first time I've gotten a chance to talk about this. And if you can't tell by the excited high pitch of my voice, I absolutely love it. I think this is the coolest thing since sliced bread, people. I did not know that this was out there. And where was this for the last 10 years? If I had this program, I probably would have started writing earlier. No, that's a complete and total lie. But I really love the program anyways. On a scale of 1 to 10, I would have to give it a 9.63. Because so far, I have not found anything wrong with it. Besides the fact that there is so much to do, so many options, that I keep discovering a new button and I'm like, well, what does that even do? And then I have to go back to the tutorial and read it and figure it out, find out. But it has every function a writer could need. And then there's like cute little functions that do nothing for the overall productivity besides customize it to the way that you want it. And the one that I just discovered a little while ago that I geeked out about was you can change the icons. Scrivener's main template that everybody loves is the corkboard feature. It's different. It's super cute. You get, for visual people, you can actually see little things in chunks, and you can go, okay, this is a folder. This is an image. You can, first of all, color coordinate the corners of those flashcard shapes. So far, I've only been able to see red and blue. But you can color coordinate them so that you can see, is this a chapter folder or is this just a concept information folder? And then you can change the little icons. Like just this morning, I have on my Scrivener template, my Scrivener project, I titled it 777 Rough Draft 1. And I've got my plot synopsis, which is a document. And then I have 7 folders, which are all, for anyone familiar with the imagery of Scrivener, they all look exactly the same. They're all little flashcards on a corkboard. And that is what that's called, right? Flashcards? Index cards. There we go. Index cards. Yes, thank you. They're all index cards on the corkboard. And I have 7 because my book has 7 chapters. And I was able to change the icons. And then my last little tab is, or my last little index card is random sequel ideas, because every so often I'll get an idea of a conversation or an incident and I'm like, well, that's a cute conversation or that's a really fun incident, but it has no place in my book. For these characters to do that, it's going to have to be post making friends, post going through these things, post. So these are all sequel ideas, and I recognize that. And I had a little flashcard called sequel ideas, and it had the same little document shaped icon, and then I was able to change it to a thought bubble icon. It's simple, it's tiny, but it is an adorable little customization that just makes me feel like this is even cuter. As far as the functionality of Scrivener, being able to change that icon is really a very small, nuanced, insignificant thing. But as far as user experience, you can really tell that Scrivener has put a lot of effort into user experience. They want you to like what you're looking at. They want this to visibly match. And I think that is amazing because there are so many people who are visually oriented. And even when it comes to writing their books, you know, to them, that little thought bubble looks completely different than all the other icons. If they're a visual person, it is going to make it easier for them to glance at something and know, okay, no, I'm on the wrong level of my navigation. I'm on the wrong corkboard. You know, they'll be like, okay, there's no thought bubble on my chapters one. Just little nuanced things like that, which as far as writing go, are not important, but it's about the user experience. And I geeked out when I realized, like, there was the icons, and then there is also a split screen function. Let me see what it's called. Vertical split, where you can be looking at a document and looking at lots of things, actually. But you can be looking at something and you can click vertical split. And what it does is it will give you two side-by-side images of what you're looking at, and you can scroll through them separately. So if you want to be looking at something that happened 3 pages up on the left side while you type on the right side, you can look right there visually right in front of you. I can see my previous work that what I'm working on now is based on. And that's another visual tool that Scrivener incorporated, which is just, it made me geek out. It made me absolutely love it because I am so used to working in Microsoft Word, and they don't have little stuff like that, at least not that I know of. So yeah, I geeked out, and I'm still geeking out. And yeah, I've got a bunch more stuff to say, but I don't want to dictate the entire conversation. So on a scale of 1 to 10, I've got to give it like a 20 because this is the coolest thing since sliced bread, and I am absolutely crazy about it. I do have to say one thing, though, that Scrivener also offers the literature and latte and literature. I'm sorry, I can't remember which one it is that makes Scrivener. Let me see something real quick. Keep up to date. Okay. I was trying to see if I could find it somewhere on here because I feel bad. I can't remember if it's literature and lattes or latte and literature. But it's
I never remember.
Ugh.
I'm a horrible person that way.
I know. And now that I know they're one of the coolest people ever, I feel extra bad that I don't know their names.
I always just Google Scrivener and it pulls it up because, yeah.
I'm going to have to write it down somewhere. If I write it down, I'll remember it.
It's literature and latte.
There we go. Thank you. Sorry, literature and latte. My bad. They also offer a program called, I think it was Scapple or Scabble. Jeez, here I am running my mouth and I don't even know. But it's one of the other prizes that you get for participating in NaNoWriMo. And for some reason, probably way back when, before they made 2, or I just really am so out of the loop that I didn't know what I was talking about, which is the more likely scenario. Scapple, I'm going to have to look it up now so that I know that I'm right, is a visual organizer for information. And some of the features in there I thought were in Scrivener. When you watch the tutorial for Scapple, God, now I gotta know. Gotta Google it. I'm sorry.
You're good. I'm trying to look it up on the Camp Nano site, actually.
It's in the prizes.
Scrivener. I see Dabble. That's not the same thing, I don't think. She writes University, Creative Live. That's the only thing I see.
It's called Scapple.
Scapple. Okay.
Scapple. Scapple.
Okay, that's not on my Winner's Goodies, but I
Oh,
don't know
really?
why. Yeah.
It was right next to Scrivener for me. But anyways, Scapple is a visual way for you to organize your information, and I thought that's what the corkboard function was on Scrivener. On Scapple, you can make text boxes and images, and you can connect them with lines and colored lines, and you can group these ones together, put a border around them. Like, it's a very visual way for you to create like a thought map to go with your project. And for some reason, I thought that was the function of the corkboard on Scrivener. But as far as I can tell, they have separated the two of them. So you have Scrivener, which is all of the actual writing and formatting, and Scapple, which gives you a way to organize all of your information in little bits, like you have just a character name or just a little picture or something like that. And you can create these mind maps, basically, and actually be able to see them. And I thought that was really cool. I'm tempted to buy Scapple too, but we've talked about this in one of our previous casts. I am a plotter, not a pantser at all. And when I plot, I like to I talked about my bullet method, where basically all of my outlines are brain dumps, and I go through and I make a bullet. Anything that I think of for a couple of days, I go through. As soon as I have an idea, write it down. Bullet, write it down. Bullet, write it down. And then I go back through and organize my bullets. Sometimes it's as simple as, well, I don't know when this is going to happen, but I know this fight is definitely going to happen before that fight, so I'll just make sure that when I organize, that bullet is higher in the list. Real simple. And after you have enough information and you organize it enough times, you've got a really rough outline going on here. And Scrivener will let me recreate my process exactly the same, because of the way you can make the little index cards and you can rearrange them and all that kind of stuff. So it would definitely give me all of that function. And I do not need the visual representation of, you discussed one time a short story that you wrote and you actually made like a bubble map to plot it. Like, okay, these two things connect like that. These two things connect like that.
Yep.
And I thought, that's just madness to me. Like, are you serious? That's insane. Like, get all those bubbles floating around. They're going to float away and carry off the project. What are you doing? So, Scapple gives you that. If you are a person who likes the visual map of being able to connect things, make little notes along the connection, and you want to be able to see the big picture at one time and see all your little dots connected, all your little lines, all of your little images over here in your clusters, that Scapple is great for that. And it looks like it's visually very similar to Scrivener. So that's my only critique. And really, that's not even a critique. It's just my own ignorance. I thought that's what Scrivener did, and it did not. But yeah, if you're a visual person who is relying on the visual elements to help you organize and keep your mind straight, I definitely think that it would be worth your money to also get Scapple, because in your writing process, Scrivener will meet all of your format needs and all of your organization needs. But if you are someone who wants to see your whole big project at one time, if you don't want to flip through pages or scroll down, you just want to look at the screen and see all your bubbles, definitely check out Scapple too. So yeah. Again, my ignorance, not Scrivener failing in any way.
I think one of the biggest things that I like about Scrivener is the corkboard function, as you were talking about, because I am halfway between a pantser and a plotter, so I call myself a plotzer, where I'll write a basic outline first, but I never stick to that outline. things will change about halfway through that affect the rest of the outline. So it changes, but I never just go back and re-outline. I just continue on from that point on, even though it diverges from my original outline. So with Scrivener's corkboard function, what I find myself doing is I'll just add a whole bunch of index cards, and I'll plot out with a basic paragraph on the index card without naming the index cards. And then if I want to move something around, I'll move it around as I'm writing my outline. And then when I'm finished doing all that, then I number them 1 to however many I have as far as chapters are concerned. That's been my favorite thing so far. And what you were talking about, something you just discovered. The thing that I just recently discovered, I've had Scrivener on my computer for 2 years, just really started using it within the past year and a half. And I just discovered maybe a couple of months ago that it actually has a name generator. You can.
Yes. How cool is that?
That is so awesome. I love name generators. I have 3 or 4 different kinds on my phone. I watch the end credits of movies to get various names, and then I look up those names to see what they mean, what culture or whatever they come from. But the name generator on Scrivener, man, it allows you to pick various things.
You can choose
and pops out a name for you.
Vendors.
I
do that.
You can pick origins.
Last names. The first name.
I give you last names.
Name books. But I'm terrible with coming up with last names. I only know so many last names from living out here in the boondocks, you know? Like, I only know so much. And that's how I get my last names. That is cool. High five. Because I thought, I know I'm not the only one, but I didn't know anybody else who actually did that too.
So that's been my newest discovery that I didn't know was a function that I just like, oh, what does this do? Oh, cool. It's got a name generator.
Yes, they're so cool. Are there any other tools that you use often with Scrivener?
Honestly, not really, because like I said, I go with the basic blank draft, and I create my index cards for each of my chapters, and then I write. I haven't really played around with anything much on it yet. I have played around with the icon colorization that you were talking about a little bit, but I don't need that visual representation that much, so I don't. It was more of a procrastination thing for me than anything else because I didn't use it otherwise. I see where it can be useful, and for those who do a lot more organization than I do, because I literally just do chapters 1 through whatever and write. For those who separate their novels into parts, for those who separate, maybe they have multiple characters, and in one chapter they might have multiple characters who have screen time per se. I can see where that kind of thing would be helpful, but with my own writing, my chapters are all one person. If I have multiple people, the name of the chapter is usually that person's name. So I don't need the visual representation as much as others do. So I haven't played around with it much because it's not something I need.
I've been wasting time playing with it, just procrastinating and enjoying myself because, I mean, I can change the icons. How cool is that?
That is really cool. And I do like that. And one of the other things I'll probably do sometime in the future is, actually, this is going to be another question for later. So let me save what I'm getting ready to say. I'm trying to think of what else you can do because there's so much. The only other real function I mess with at all is the project targets. I have a basic idea of how long all my stories are going to be. And then each time I sit down to actually write, I have a session target of how many words I want to get hit. And usually my session target is around 500 words. And the reason for that is because I usually write in 15-minute sprints. And I know that on a good sprint, on a good 15-minute sprint, I can get anywhere from 500 to 700 words in a single sprint. So I try to set my sessions for the lower end of that target at 500. And then I have a overall goal that I try to hit with every single one of my stories as well. So I really do like the fact that you can set those targets. And then there's also the project statistics, which tells you all the things that Microsoft Word would do as well. How many words you use, how many characters you use, how many pages your story would be. It actually separates bases on printed and paperback, which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
So, because Word does not do that. Word does not tell you how many it would be printed versus paperback. The only thing I don't like about that is when it says paperback, what is it basing its paperback statistics on? Because there's different
I'm thinking it must be
sizing settings.
Sizing, exactly. They must have some kind of default sizing calculation in there somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they're basing it on, like a normal book, you know, because most paperbacks are the same size and most hard books are the same size, just a different thickness.
Yep.
Generally speaking, there are a few industry norms, and maybe that has to be what they're using to calculate that at all. I just wonder if there's any way to adjust that.
I don't know. That's going to be something I'll have to play with. It might even be under the metadata settings.
Yeah, that sounds really complicated. That sounds like something that they wouldn't let you do just so that you didn't mess it up and then try to blame it on them. Because people would do that.
Oh, they would totally.
Oh yeah. But yeah, that's interesting. Like, I'm already up to 5,852 characters, and but that's only 4 pages in paperback.
Well, I'm looking at my novella because I'm working on editing Hunter's Betrayal.
Uh-huh.
It's got 17 chapters, which is actually about to be cut nearly in half because I've got 3 or 4 really long chapters that are about my usual length, actually.
Uh-huh.
Most of my chapters for my novels are about 3,000 words. So they're actually about right for one of my novels. But I've noticed that a lot of the novella chapters are like half that. So with this editing, I am actually combining a lot of the smaller chapters. Like, I've got a couple chapters that are 400 words. I've got a couple chapters that are like just over 1,000 words. So all those chapters where I can combine them into one chapter, I'm trying to do that. So it's going to be a lot less chapters, which is fine. It's not a big deal. And when I send it to my editor, she might say, no, this needs to be separate.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
That's what we pay editors for, because they know that kind of stuff easy, and we struggle. Kill your darlings. No! My editor can kill my darlings. I don't want to kill my darlings.
I don't generally kill my darlings, actually. They're like, I can count on one or two. I can count on one hand still with all the novels I've actually completed how many people have actually died. Like, I don't sit there and become George R. R. Martin and just start killing everyone. Sorry.
Ugh. I couldn't do it. Okay, let me think. This book has immortality in it. So all of my characters cannot die. They can suffer, but they can't die. So that's fun. But my screenplay that I sent to you, my TV screenplays, that's afterlife stuff. So your body dies, but you continue on. So kind of like immortality-ish, sort of. I can't think of what that's called. It's called perdurance, actually. That's a real word. I didn't make it up.
Okay. I was going to say it's more like resurrection, but I don't know what that word means that you use.
You have to come back. These people, I'm not exactly sure what the word, but I do know perdurance is a word. It's a real word.
Okay.
I can't believe I said that on screen. I've never told anybody that before. Damn. Okay. Anyway.
You're good. Have you played with, so in Scrivener, I have not played with this much. I know it's a possibility. I just haven't played with it much because I haven't needed to, because I have all my sources outside Scrivener because I've been working on this series for so long that I just haven't incorporated everything into Scrivener. There is the research section where you can put links, you can copy direct articles, you can put pictures and stuff like that directly into Scrivener. Have you played with that at all?
Yes, I have.
What do you think of that?
At first I thought it tells you when you try to upload something, they give you a little heads up that some of it might be incompatible. You might lose an image or something like that. I haven't had a problem with that just yet, but I did notice that it is easier to create an index card and copy and paste the link to a website, to a web page, than it is to actually try to just make the index card the web page. Because for example, I also have a couple PDFs from Wikipedia, and it knows what the PDF is. And when you select it, it opens the PDF exactly the way I downloaded it from Wikipedia. And but when I tried to create a web page, when I tried to do the same thing, just copy and paste the link to create the web page, I don't know if I did it wrong or if it just didn't want to do it or what, but it didn't go well. I did not get the same result that I did with like the PDF. It will show you the PDF right here, just like you're looking at it in Adobe. But I did not even get to, when I tried it with the website, it didn't work. And I was expecting it to launch a Chrome window or whatever your browser is and, you know, basically bring up that web page for you. It didn't do that. I maybe did it wrong, but it didn't do that for me. So I found that as far as web pages go, it's easier to just create an index card, title it what the web page is, and then copy and paste your link. And then, you know, it might be 2 or 3 extra steps for you, but it's 2 or 3 extra steps that are consistent. And once you do it, it's done. You don't have to worry about it messing up in the future. I love that you can take, you can have pictures on your index cards too. And I geeked out when I saw that too, because I was like, oh, like I have pictures that I saved from the internet for my characters. Like I've got 7 characters, and 2 of them are kind of based on a celebrity that I think is cute. Only because I really like a look, and I'm like, well, you know, I really want this character to look like this or have these features. And then I saw a movie, and there was the character, and one of the secondary characters in the movie had just, I immediately made the connection. You know what I mean? As soon as I saw that person and their face and the way they moved, I was like, hey, that's my character. So I've got 3. I've got 3 that actually, 2 of them because of the way they move, and one of them just because she's gorgeous, and I think she's gorgeous, and I want my character to be gorgeous. So no other validation besides the look. But at this point, it doesn't matter.
Nothing wrong with that.
Right? At this point, that's what these images are for, is the looks. So geeked out when I found out that you could have the images, because now I can see my characters and I can see them all next to each other. And unless you go through your Windows Explorer on your laptop or whatever your Explorer is and look at your picture files all up next to each other and blow up your icons big enough that you can see it, you don't usually get to see all 7 faces lined up next to each other. And here they are. And I can change the order. So like, you know, okay, well, these 3 are friends and these 2 are friends. I can put them next to each other. It's just weird little things like that, that as a writer, again, it's a nuance in the user experience that it's just fun, and it does make a difference for you to be able to move them around. And I've got all of that in my research section. I've got a couple links. I've got a couple PDFs. I've got pictures. I don't have any graphs or anything like that. I have a couple just plain, just a plain index card. It's not a document. It's just a little index card. And with like a couple random words, like I needed a couple slang words, and I couldn't remember the first time in the book that person would use that slang word. So I just stuck it in my research section, and I know where to find it when the time comes. And I'm like, okay, I need that person to say that way. Boom, there it is. And in the interactive, what is it called? Interactive tutorial, they claim that you can also put video clips, which I have not had a use for, but you can also add video clips on that corkboard.
Yep.
And I was like, that's incredible. So yeah, I have used it. Love being able to see everything in one place. Love the variety that I can use on that corkboard. I'm pretty sure you can use that same variety everywhere, but it's still cool that they called it research. Oh, and the research section is automatically formatted into a blank project, which I thought was rad. I'm like, thank you. Because
if you choose one of the templates, it is. Otherwise, it's actually empty, and it just when I click on the research section of Scrivener, it just shows me the corkboard until I start adding stuff to it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I think I confused myself. But yes, I like it a lot. I like it. I love it. I'm nuts for it. I can't wait. I did have one thing that I'm not exactly sure because I was so excited to buy Scrivener, but apparently the Scrivener that is available for PCs is actually behind the Scrivener that is currently available for Macs.
Yes.
And that really disappoints me. Really, really disappoints me on behalf of someone who I do not use Apple products. I use iTunes for the podcasts, and that's it. And I do not use Apple products, and it's disappointing. I don't know if there's a legitimate technical reason to it, and they're not doing the whole, they get more money. You know how that goes. Like they get more money if they make it exclusive to Mac. They get more money out of this product. I have no idea if that's what's going on or not. I hope not, because it seems really unfair to show that kind of favoritism to writers. Like, I don't know. It bothered me. I'm hoping it's a technical issue.
It's a little bit of both. So Scrivener, when it first was introduced, was made by a company that was strictly Apple products, and the PC version came out much, much later. And so they upgraded for Mac first, and once they got all the kinks and the bugs out, then they bring it out for the PC as well. So it's a little bit of both. Because the company started off as a Apple-based company, they go with Apple-based stuff first, but everything that comes out for the Mac version will eventually also come out for the PC version. In fact, actually, I think the Mac version that's actually out was just out in beta form for PC a couple of months ago. And they were having a handful of people test the beta version so they could work out all the kinks that didn't show up in the Mac version that are showing up in the PC version thanks to coding differences.
Well, that explains it. I did not know that. But even so, I understand the loyalty behind that concept, but I find it disappointing. Like, as someone
I'm just glad it comes out for PC at all.
Apple products, I can't stand that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just as willing to throw my money at your product as that Apple person. I want all those privileges that Apple person gets, but I don't want to use Apple. And if you're going to give me a product, it should be equal to that one. It irks me because this happens to me quite a bit. Like I said, I don't use Apple products. And I don't even have an iPod. I have generic media player shufflers, Sony's, Philips, Samsung, that kind of thing. I don't use Apple. I've never had a pleasant experience with Apple. That's the topic for a different conversation. But I know people who absolutely love their iPhones. They love their MacBooks, all that kind of stuff. And they do have incredible features that look like they would just be so much fun to use. But I think it's me personally and jinxed. Like, my iTunes account is still not fully set up because for the last 3 years, I have been waiting for Apple to fix this connection between my iTunes account and my PayPal account. And every couple of months, I reach out to them and I go, hey, this isn't resolved yet. What's going to happen? And they're like, well, this has been happening. This has been happening 3 years. For 3 years, 2 or 3 times a year, I've been reaching out to Apple saying, hey, what's going on? Can we fix this? Still unresolved.
Oh,
And I'm like, you know what? That sums up my Apple experience right there. I know it's me. I know it's me. And it is not, Apple is not to blame for this. It is something about my juju. But
you got the technical gremlin gene, didn't you?
I think I did. I think I did. Got it from my mom. I'm pretty sure. And but yeah, that was my only two complaints about Scrivener. We've been on here for like 45 minutes with me geeking out now, but that was the only other thing I could think of. One, I thought it had some of the scalpel features in it. I thought that's what the cork board did, which if they could do that would be rad, but they've already got the two programs, and I see why they do two different functions for a writer. And two is I don't have the same thing as the Mac, and I don't think that's fair. So those are my only two criticisms, really, overall. I haven't found anything negative. I haven't struggled with anything. I haven't found any issue that I wasn't able to just go to the interactive tutorial, click around and find it and explain to me, you know, okay, I pushed a button and I don't know what it was. What did I do? Everything has been really easy to resolve. Definitely keep your interactive tutorial, anyone considering buying that and opening your projects and all that stuff. Do not delete your interactive tutorial. I know a lot of people don't even bother to look at it and then they end up deleting it. Trust me, this program is so nuanced that you're going to want the walkthrough at some point or other. So definitely do not delete your interactive tutorial.
I don't know if I deleted the interactive tutorial or not. I know I didn't go through with it because whenever I need help with Scrivener, Scrivener had, not Scrivener, Literature and Latte actually has a YouTube channel with a lot of videos on it. Plus, I do a lot of learning by visual via YouTube anyways. So I just go onto YouTube and search for what I'm looking for and watch whatever tutorials are there whenever I need help with Scrivener, which isn't very often since I don't, like I said, I use the baby basics. So.
Ooh, one other thing that I found that I have not had the opportunity to play with yet, but once again I geeked out, was there is actually a function in here somewhere where you can add comments and footnotes, and you can highlight a section of text and add a comment, and then when you run your mouse over it, your little comment will actually pop up. And you can also do the same thing with a footnote, and then it claims, I have not tried it, but I'm pretty sure that they are not lying, because why would they? That you can format those footnotes and you can put them in so that you can visually see, yes, my footnotes are in the right place. And then at the end of your project, it will automatically convert all of those footnotes into real footnotes at the bottom of the page.
Oh, that is awesome.
I'm pretty sure, like I said, I have not got to try it to see that that is actually what's happening. But I'm like really close to being sure that that's what it does.
I will have to play around with that to see. I also know an author that a lot of his fiction, he includes, he writes satirical police mystery kind of things. So he does include a lot of footnotes in his writing with actual information about how things work with police standards and stuff. So if nothing else, that would be cool. I might have to go ask him if he uses Scrivener and if he's used that function himself, because he does include everything I've read by him that is published has footnotes in it. And while a lot of what he writes is satirical, he includes those little nuggets of information that is based on fact to give you a perspective of what a actual police officer in the field would do, kind of thing. So I'm wondering if he uses that function, if he uses Scrivener, because I'm not certain if he's a Scrivener or a Word person, and if he uses that function at all, if he is a Scrivener person. That'll be interesting to find out. I did not know about that. I haven't looked at that one yet. I mean, I've seen it. I just haven't used it.
I'm looking at it now, and it says it is on the interactive tutorial, part 1 basics, step 5 down at the bottom, 5H, comments and footnotes.
Mm-hmm.
And this sentence has a comment attached, and there's a red box around the word attached. And then when you put your cursor over it, it says comment. Comments get displayed and selected as soon as they are clicked on in the main editor. And then there's a blue one underneath it. This sentence has a footnote attached. And it says footnote. This is a footnote. In order for footnotes to get exported properly, it is important to add them in such a way that the link ends exactly as you want the footnote to appear in the exported or printed text. So yeah, it automatically lines up your footnotes for you, and
cool.
there they will be on your printed text.
That makes me want to include a footnote in something just to see how it would look when it finally converts it. Because Scrivener gives you the option to convert. Like when I finish self-editing this project, Hunter's Betrayal, to send to my editor, I'm going to convert it to a Word document because she uses Word to do editing. She does the comments and editing thing that allows it to, so that you see the original text, but it crosses out whatever she's deleting and adds comments to the sidebar and all that fun jazz. So she uses Word for her editing, and I'm using Scrivener for writing. So when I finish editing and I get ready to send it to her, I'm going to convert it to a Word document. And then you can also convert to PDFs and other types of files. But I'm gonna add a footnote just so I can see what it looks like when it's converted. Just because.
Have you ever had any issues converting her edits into Scrivener?
No, because I don't usually. What I'll do is when I go back to edit based on what she says, I will just open my Scrivener document and I'll have the Scrivener document open on one side. I'll have the Word document open on the other, and I change what she said in my Scrivener document, and then convert it again and send it back to her if that's what we're doing, or just keep the changes depending on what kind of edit we're doing.
Yeah, that sounds quick and simple and easy. That also reminds me of another feature of Scrivener, which I just thought was the bee's knees, which is a feature called Snapshot, where you can save if you are going to make some edits and you're not sure that these are going to be the right edits. You can take a snapshot of your work as is right now, and then you have basically another unedited copy of your project so that you can change what you want to change. And if it turns out, no, this is bad, you can go back and restore your snapshot and it undoes all those edits. So if you want to change, a whole scene, or if you just want to change, some things throughout a scene. If you wanted to change a whole scene, that wouldn't be any different than just, saving a copy of the scene. But if there was some nuanced thing where, this person went from having no cape to now they have a cape that they're struggling with, and you want to rewrite the scene, and every so often you have to put in that this person is struggling with this cape that's too big and all this extra fabric, it's going to be not a main feature of this scene, but it will occur every so often. The snapshot would be perfect for that, because you're going to have little edits here and there to change some dimension of your scene, and you might decide that you don't like it. And if you have your snapshot, you can go back to your snapshot and it'll restore your original edit of your scene. And I was like, my brain just exploded, because I'm notorious for that. Like,
yep.
Even in my expository writing, I would do that. Like, okay, well, I'm talking about this, but if I add this little thing and I bring it up every so often, it'll change my points. You'll understand better the scope of what I'm trying to say. And in fiction writing, that idea translates over into little examples. Like, at first, this character did not have a big ass cape that it was lugging around, and now it does. And for some reason, it has to keep the cape, so it has to struggle. How would this scene be different? But you don't have to compromise your original work if you take a snapshot.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh my God, these Scrivener people. Oh, if I had known it was this good, I would have paid full price for it as soon as I heard about it, instead of waiting to redeem my 50% off nano code. You guys deserve $40, $45. It's $45 now. You guys deserve
Yeah, because it's gone
$45
up.
product. It's fantastic.
And that's actually another big thing. Okay, so I've got two other points that I want to talk about with Scrivener. The first is, so we've been talking about it from the fiction standpoint, but what I love is that you can also do it from a nonfiction standpoint. In fact, actually, one of the things I'm looking at currently is something that I wish I'd had back in high school.
Yeah.
And that is the fact that you can include your bibliography and citations. Research papers, man. If you are a high school student or a college student and you have research papers, you can use Scrivener to help you with your research papers because it allows you to add in those bibliography and blah, 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 blah. Citations. Thank you. That's the word. I just recently discovered that Microsoft Word has that option as well, but I like the fact that you're not. It doesn't disclude the fact that you can use Scrivener for research papers because you can do the same thing.
Yes.
So that is really cool. And then the big thing that I like about Scrivener, so Microsoft Word is, depending on your viewpoint, Microsoft Word is actually cheap. They've got Office 365 now, which gives you all of the Microsoft Office programs, Word, Excel, Publisher, OneNote, all of them. And it's like $11 plus tax a month. But you're basically renting it. You don't own it. And
so mad. That's another thing. I have a conspiracy theory behind that, which is that they have made it into basically a monthly service. Yep. They claim that they've made it into a monthly service because that way they can roll out any cool new update as soon as they have it available to you. And you can constantly be getting all of these new benefits. And they do that best through a monthly service. Sure. But that also means that as soon as I am no longer paying that service, my device is null and void. My dad got a new laptop about, I want to say 3 years ago. It was a Toshiba, and it came with 1 month of Office 365 trial thing for free. He was using it for work. And, well, no, when he bought it, okay, it was 1 year. He got the laptop. It was a work laptop. And they had paid the 1 year subscription. At the end of that 1 year, his laptop is now useless for anything but cruising the internet. He can view a file, but he cannot edit them at all. He cannot, not even Word documents. Like when he had to redo his resume, he had to do it on my laptop and then transfer the file over to his laptop so that he could email it to prospective companies and stuff like that. Because when your subscription is out, your device as a writer who needs to write and edit, change things all the time, it's useless. And I'm like, yeah, no, I'd rather not have all of those nice updates so that I do not have a useless device. And they have created, I'm sure you know this, like an online version where they give you just some of the most basic functions of Excel and Microsoft and all that stuff. And it's available to use for free. But it's the very simple, no fancy, cool stuffs, just get the job done tools. And they give you that for free. And then they have the monthly subscription service that has all of the cool things. And they're still offering the purchase of a Microsoft Office suite where you can buy all of those things. But I'm pretty sure it's just a matter of time before they take that away from us too. Before they...
That's okay. I thought they had already taken it away because I haven't been able to find what you're talking about. Like, I would prefer to actually buy and have a copy of those programs.
Yes.
Because, in my opinion, you'll spend... I know how much I've spent over the past 5 years before I actually switched completely to Scrivener. I know how much I've spent on Microsoft Office 365. And it actually is more than double what I would have spent had I just bought the two programs. Because I only use two. I use Excel and Word. If I had just bought those two programs outright, I would have spent half of what I have spent on Office 365 for the subscription. So I fully believe that that is a thing. And that's one of the reasons I switched to Scrivener is because I was tired of paying that monthly subscription. And so I switched completely to Scrivener. I have Office I do have Office on my computer. I have 2010. That's because working with the company I'm working with now, when I first started, they had an offer where you could buy Microsoft Office 2010. This was before 365 existed, or right before it came out. I don't know which. And they were offering Microsoft Word because you work for the company. You got a discount code. You bought it for $10. So I do have Microsoft Word only on my computer, the 2010 version, but it's only Word. I don't have Excel or any of the other programs, and I only have it for this one computer. So like I don't have it on my tablet. I don't have it on my husband's computer, and if I get any other computers in the future, I would have to undownload it from this computer to put it on another computer. And with Scrivener, I have Scrivener. There's Scrivener on 3 different devices in my house. It's on the desktop computer in the living room that never gets used because it was supposed to be a computer for the girls, and it won't connect to the internet, which had all the programs the girls were supposed to be using for their learning stuff. So it hasn't been turned on since we discovered that. I have Scrivener on my laptop, and I have Scrivener on my tablet. And I've still spent less than $100 for all 3 of those computers to have that one program.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's been the biggest thing. I love how cheap and affordable. I do not mind. Scrivener doesn't come out with upgrades often enough for me to mind rebuying it, because that is the only downgrade I see about it so far, is the fact that anytime they have an update, you have to rebuy the program over again. But I don't mind rebuying a $40 program, or $45 now, program.
That meets all of
for
your
an update that happens maybe once a year.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree.
I
noticed that as well, and I was like, well, I would like the idea that I pay $40 for it, $45 for it one time, and then that's it forever. That sounds really nice. But I understand they've got to make money. And even if it amounts to one update every year, I'm still only paying $45 a year for this thing that does everything that I need it to do, and then exports the files in different formats so that other people can still use it. So yeah, definitely worth it.
Yep. Because the price point is definitely a plus. The fact that you have to rebuy it is a negative. But when you think about it, even before 365 rolled out, you still had to do the same thing with Microsoft Word and Excel and all them too. You had to, anytime they put out a new version, you had to rebuy it. It was like $300 per version that they put out. So.
Or you had to just wait until your device pooped out and you bought a new device and there was the new stuff.
Yep. So it works out, and it works out to be, in my opinion, it worked out to be better than Microsoft Word. But that being said, I still use Microsoft Word because, like I said, I work with my editor. I convert it to a Microsoft Word document to send to my editor. And then when I get to the point where I'm formatting these books, I'll be formatting in Word as well, just because I know how to do that in Word. And it takes me like 30 minutes to an hour to format something in Word, and I have not played around with formatting in Scrivener yet. So that's something to do on another day.
Yeah. The formatting on Scrivener, I have not played around with at all, but we touched on it just a few minutes ago. The visual display of Scrivener also gives you have your corkboard view, and there's 2 other views also. There is the corkboard. There is one that looks like a spreadsheet, and then there's one that looks like an outline for an AP high school English class paper. And depending on your project, you can change it up. I can imagine that Scrivener would also have a lot of functionality for people who wrote big papers, because you've got the outline looking view and you could see that, again, like an outline. If that's what you're writing is a paper, that's going to be a little bit different than a fiction story, because the paper is much more, expository. So, 2 other views, which is not in line with what you just said, but you said it a few minutes ago, and I just clicked over and I saw it again, and it reminded me. I like the corkboard view because it's so cute and different, but visually, there's other ways too. It's not only the corkboard. The spreadsheet one is pretty cool too.
I don't think I've played with the spreadsheet one. I know it exists. I just haven't played around with it.
Yeah.
But I'm very, 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 very basic with what I do. With your project, are you using one of their templates? Because you're right. You're working. This is your first fiction novel. Are you working with one of their templates, or did you go with the blank document and you're just
I'm pretty sure I
organizing
just went with a blank document.
Say it one more time.
I'm pretty sure I just went with a blank document. I didn't.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm like 95% sure I just went with a blank document.
Okay.
It was my first fiction project, but this was also my very first Scrivener project, and I didn't want to start it with fiction and then complicate it and then try to do it later. Yeah, no, I definitely went with blank.
It'd be interesting to play around with the templates because they've got. Okay, so let me open a brand new document so I can see what it pulls up. All right, new project. I do still have the interactive tutorial. Okay. There's blank, there's fiction, there's nonfiction, there's script writing, and there's miscellaneous. I always just go with the blank one myself, but for fiction there is novel with parts, and short story. For nonfiction, there is nonfiction with subheads, research proposal, I can't talk today, as well as undergraduate humanities essay. I don't even know what that is. So, meh.
I don't either.
And then for script writing, there's the comic, so it is on mine. There is the BBC radio scene style, BBC taped drama, comic script, screenplay, stage play UK, and stage play US, because there's a difference between the two.
Mm-hmm.
And then under miscellaneous, there's persuasive letter and recipe collection. So there's so many types of templates that they have. And then you also have the option, if you start with a blank, you can create your own templates that show up on this list from what I understand.
I think so, yes.
So if you wanted to do a fiction where say, in my case, I'm writing a series. So, but I do each novel or novella as its own Scrivener project. I could create a template so that anytime I open a new project for the series, it's formatted the exact same way as the previous book.
Mm-hmm.
And it would show up under, I could put it so that it shows up under fiction, so that I click fiction and click that template and just use that template.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. I think that's really cool too.
Definitely.
It's not what I'm doing, because I'm doing something completely different, but it's an option of something I can do, which I think was really cool.
Yeah, it's fantastic. They've really gone out of their way to make like the be-all end-all program for writers.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're someone who does do a variety of writings, like you just named off, they have a recipe template. Like, come on now. They're really trying to cover all their bases so that you're like, I need to write this down. Oh, boom, popped open a Scrivener. There's my template. Boom, here we go.
And there's probably somewhere on their site where they have other templates that are not included, like maybe someone's created a template and then uploaded it to the Scrivener site. There probably is somewhere on their site where you can download other templates that are not included on their templates.
Well,
I would imagine there might be, or should be if there's not.
I did see somewhere where the icons that they've got, like, it looks like maybe a dozen icons that when you click the change icon button, they pop up and you can pick one. But I saw somewhere where it said download more.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like I said, if they don't have that, they should.
Well, now you know, Literature and Latte. You didn't beat it on it.
Let's see.
Yeah. Well, an hour. We've been on for like an hour now, and I am enamored with it. I am like, wow, I'm so grateful that I got this instead of trying to do this on Microsoft Word, because I would not have been able to do this on Microsoft Word. What I would have ended up doing would have been creating many, many documents and sorting them into many, many folders in my Windows Explorer area, which is where, you see all the files on your computer.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I planned to do, because I knew that I would need to be able to make it into smaller bits, and that I would need to be able to see them next to each other and stuff like that. So I planned on just making, I've got 7 chapters, and I've got 48. I had 44, now I have 47 scenes.
Okay.
And I planned on making 47 Word documents, sorting them into 7 folders, putting all of those folders in one bigger folder, and Scrivener does all of that within the Scrivener project and then saves it as a cluster for you.
Yep.
And that's pretty cool. That's exactly, that mirrors the normal way that you would have had to do it on other programs, and I really appreciate that. Because like I said, I would have had 47 Word documents sorted into 7 folders inside one big folder inside my work folder. Like, I had a plan, and Scrivener does all of that for you within each project and organizes them for you automatically just by your creating the index cards on your corkboard, or the lines on your spreadsheet view. And yeah, I'm geeking out, man. You wouldn't let me geek out the other night when I tried to be like ... on Scrivener, and I've been holding it in. So yeah, this is fantastic.
Yep.
You talked about it earlier. I do think that as far as, I interrupted you and changed the subject, sorry. Scrivener versus Word, which one? If you had to choose one and only one, as loath as I am to admit it, I would probably say Word, only because it's so much more universal. The writing community knows all about Scrivener, but Word is much more common, much more available on multiple devices. Word is just more available. So if I had to pick one, I would say Word for only that reason. There is no function of Word that I've ever used that is not in Scrivener and possibly improved upon within Scrivener. So, yeah. But you also discussed pricing. The way that Word goes now, if you're not careful, you'll have a useless device after your 365 subscription expires.
Yep.
Like I said, they try to claim that, hey, we offer you these free versions online available to anyone and everyone. You can do what you need to do there. You just can't do all the cool stuff. Yeah, okay. You covered in my opinion, that's just covering your ass so that nobody goes, well, Word just completely and 100% screwed me when my subscription ended. No, they only kind of 80% screwed you, because they still make these things available. And that is nice. It is something that I appreciate. Once I found that out, because I remember talking to you about it a couple of weeks ago when I was pricing laptops and trying to figure this whole situation out. That is a very nice thing that they did. It's rad that Word made that available to everyone, everywhere, all the time. And because it's an internet-based thing, you can do that on your mobile devices. On your tablet, you can go and you can create an Excel document or whatever, because you're basically on a website. Those are like online app versions. I did think I saw something one time where they said something funny about, like, if you use the internet version, then you have to save your stuff to the cloud. Like, you can't save it directly to your device, which I thought was bizarre. And I'm pretty sure I have to be wrong about that.
No, you're correct. You do, if you do anything on the, like, say I do something on my phone on the mobile device, it saves directly to the cloud. I can't save it to the device.
Well, can I put it on my laptop
you can,
and then save it to my laptop?
Yes, you can do that. You can. It won't let you save it. You'll be able to download it, and then you can edit it if you have the Word program on your computer.
Okay, that's nice. They took care of that, so that's good. But yeah, I have to admit that one of the elements that motivated me to purchase Scrivener was looking at all of this Windows stuff going, I have to have something to cover my butt. I have to have something that is in place at all times for me because I've got, it's not my blog, but I have blog content. I have school work. I have fiction work. I have past projects that I'm trying to get ready to send out. I need to be able to click and whip it up. And I have not purchased a new device. My dad got that laptop and I used it a little bit, but not much. I have not purchased a new laptop in like 6 years. My laptop is 6 years old now, so I'm totally out of the loop with how current Windows programs last, how long they last, like because I did look it up and there was the Office suite and it did give you all the stuff, Excel, Word, and the other 2 or 3 that I can't think of. Outlook, which I think is their email program, a couple other things. It did do all of those things, but it was like, I think it was like $269. I remember thinking I could buy a low-end laptop for the same price that I'm getting just these permanent copies of these programs that I need. And the only thing about that Office 365 that I think is super cool, and I have not seen anything parallel to it in Scrivener, is the ability to share. I know with that Office 365, you basically have like a little chunk of the cloud, and you can grant people access, different levels of access also to your documents. You can save your document in the cloud and you can go, okay, well, this person is my editor, so I'm going to let her be able to fix typos. This person is just reading it. They can't copy, paste, text, nothing. They can just look at it. And Office 365 does that. And which is great for a business setting where you need to share files. Multiple people need to put information into one file. All that, great for that. As far as fiction writing, it would still be really nice to be able to just email my friend a code and be like, hey, check this out, read this. Instead of, currently I burn the files onto a CD and then mail onto a blank disk, and then I mail the disk because I'm afraid if I put it in a USB thingy, it'll get broken. And at least with the disk, it's less likely to get broken and cheaper to mail. So that's how I currently send my files to people. And I'm sure there's some kind of program on the internet that I am just ignorant to that could take care of that for me in like 10 seconds, but I don't actually do that much stuff on the internet, in case you hadn't noticed. So
it would be cool if Scrivener did do that. Especially for co-writers. Co-writers is a good example of that. You're taking one project and flipping it back and forth between 2 or more people. And most people that I know that do co-writing use Google Docs because it's literally what you just said. You send a code and you both have access, or anyone who has that link has access to the document. It would be cool if Scrivener would come out with something that allows basically the same thing. However, that would require both people to have Scrivener, and not everyone uses Scrivener. And I think that might be one of the hurdles that is stopping from that feature. I don't know if it's something that they might do eventually, or if it's something that they have not even thought of, or if it's something that I'm sure they thought about and decided it wasn't worth it. I'm not certain. It would be cool to have, but I don't know if it's ever going to happen.
I don't expect that it would, if for nothing else. Then Scrivener, how we mentioned earlier, is it doesn't do a lot of updates. When it comes out with big updates, you got to rebuy the program, and that might be kind of a struggle. Google Docs is all Google. Google houses all the updates online. It's all online, and it makes it really easy for Google to do that. It wouldn't be so easy for Scrivener to make sure that if this person has a Mac and they've got all these new features and that person has a PC and they don't, that everything still translates over. So I don't expect.
I do know. Go ahead, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I just said I don't expect it anytime soon.
Okay. I do know that you can sync with either an external folder or mobile devices. I know that the iPhone has a Scrivener version, and then you can get Scrivener on tablets and stuff, whether they're Android or not Android. You can't get it on Android tablet. Microsoft has worked basically like a computer tablet, not a phone tablet. So I think you could possibly do something similar to what we're discussing with the sync option, but it's not exactly the same. It'd be almost like it would almost be like saving it to what you were talking about, burning your documents to a CD disk and sending it in the mail. So I think their sync option is closer to what you were talking about with the CD disk versus actually existing, one project actually existing on two different computers or devices. I'm not positive because I haven't played with that option, but it might be something to look into, especially where co-writing is concerned, because maybe it works exactly like we're talking about, and because we haven't actually played around with it, we just don't know.
We'll have another one of these Scrivener things in like 6 months when we've actually thoroughly explored the program and we have something more to offer. Then how cool!
Yeah.
But, I still like I watched the tutorial. I read the tutorial and I was so excited playing around with stuff, skipping stuff, not skipping, but like, skimming. There we go. Skimming stuff to get through it. That now that I'm actually using it, I'm like, I thought I could do this. Wait, now I have to go back and read the tutorial. Oh my gosh, I can. Like I've been doing that pretty much this whole time. So we'll have to do this again. This is just the first impressions of me as a newbie. And you as using it for several years, but it's not your not yet your main and only application. You said you still do stuff on Word.
Yeah, I'm getting there though, because I don't even have, like, my tablet doesn't have Word at all.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I use mainly for writing these days. So, in fact, actually, with this particular project, this one was originally written in Word, and I've had to copy and paste everything over to my Scrivener file because, as you were saying earlier with Microsoft Word, it doesn't allow you to do anything but read the document. And in fact, it took me the longest time to figure out because it wouldn't even let me copy and paste.
Oh, wow.
As the read-only document on my tablet, it was basically acting like a PDF that you couldn't copy and paste from.
Oh.
So it took me hours to figure out how to be able to copy and paste all of my text so that I can put it in a Scrivener document to edit it, which was annoying as crap.
Yeah, I think crap would be putting that very delicately.
Where? It was fun. It was so much fun.
I hope that Scrivener doesn't have any kinks like that, but I've really the Microsoft Word, I did not expect all those complications like that. Like everything is read only. I can't even, like you said, it took you how long to figure out just how to copy and paste? Like that's
simple.
Yeah. That's basic. So they shouldn't have, taken even that function from us to make us use the one that you pay for. And we've all taken economics courses and stuff like that. We understand that that's what they're doing. They're not to be condemned for it. That's just capitalism. But they are setting it up so that you kind of have to pay for this monthly subscription for Microsoft Word. Like, kind of don't really have a choice now. If you want to be the person who never runs into any problems, you have to have that subscription. Even I'm betting, even if you buy the permanent versions, if you buy the suite, there's probably going to be some complications because there will be things that are nifty new features in 365 that are not going to translate over into your several years over permanent copy. And yeah, if you want to be the person who never ever has to worry about any complications like that, you're going to have to buy the subscription outright. And I don't know, I just don't like it. I don't like not being able to get the best version of it one time and then it stay good. Like, you know, everything that you buy one copy of is now going to be outdated, and there's no sign of that changing in the future. That's the way everybody's doing stuff now. And I'm okay with the idea of the monthly subscription for some things, but if it's something that's vital to my trade, like my word processor, I am not okay with it, because if I don't have a word processor, I don't work. The screen's messing up. I think I may be messed up. Are you there? Hello? Hello? Okay, I can see in the feed that I'm still here, but I'm not catching anything from you, Sky, if you're there. Looks like Sky may have been the one who dropped out. Okay, I can see in the feed that I'm still here, but I'm not catching anything from you, Sky, if you're there. Looks like Sky may have been the one who dropped out. Okay, I can see in the feed that I'm still here, but I'm not catching anything from you, Sky, if you're there. Looks like Sky may have been the one who dropped out. Okay, I can see in the feed that I'm still here, but I'm not catching anything. For you, Sky, if you're there. Looks like Sky may have been the one who dropped out. Okay, I can see in the feed that I'm still here, but I'm not catching anything. Okay, we're trying to figure this out now. Probably going to end the call and leave it up to Sky to come back. Somehow it seems to have switched over so that I am now the main person on the call, or it just didn't end it, which surprises me. I thought that Sky was basically hosting this thing. And copied and pasted the permanent link to Sky. She's trying to see if she can jump back in. So now we wait. Because I don't know what to say when I'm talking to the void. So got to get better about that. This is a hiccup in one of Sky's YouTube videos. We're talking about Scrivener, and reviewing some of the features, our impressions as a writer, and we were currently talking about gapped it. We were currently discussing how nope, it's gone. I remember complaining about how Microsoft Word is changing over to a subscription service, and you got to pay consistently. Scrivener has the perk of being a one-time buy, and every so often they do put out an update. So every so often you do have to repurchase it, but it's not bad. It's $45, and it seems to last for a little over a year. And they give you the option of exporting your files in different formats, so you can still share these Scrivener files with other people who are using other applications. Scrivener, just trying to think of things to say now. Sky, you're going to go back and listen to this. This is me on my own. Okay. Scrivener is made by a company called Literature and Latte. It was currently $45. They have a discount code for winners of NaNoWriMo challenges. NaNoWriMo has a NaNoWriMo November, which is their big one, 50,000 words in the month of November.